All right, recording this November 17th. Me and Nolan back on the pod 619, first ever video one. And we'll see if it makes the cut. I don't know yet, but
Yeah, we'll see. Still testing.
for sure. Last time me and Nolan were back on the pod for episode one, the Knicks ended up being 2-1, beating the Bucks. The team really showed out against that. Short-handed Bucks as well. I think Giannis is really carrying a load right now in the league. Yeah, the Knicks bounced back, dropped one against the Hornets, came back against the Pacers, really showed grit the second half. We've been having third quarter woes. We continue to have, to be honest. Some things like we should talk about quickly. Quickly is back. It seems like quickly has,
Hey,
yeah, man. It seems like quickly regained his
he ain't
confidence.
never left.
Yeah, that
He
for
had
sure,
a,
for
he had a
sure.
bad stretch, man. I said the last pod, it was just a slump. Like his true shooting percentage and his 3-point percentage last year were so ridiculous on the volume he was putting up that you knew there was no way like he was going to shoot a whole season of shooting 20%. That he would at least get to league average, and if not more than likely higher. 12 games was such a small sample size for people to get like so worked up about that it drove me crazy. I'll be honest, Knicks fans have been driving me crazy lately.
I think I'm part of that a little bit, man. It's kind of hard to not get emotional and not burn
Oh,
everything
for
to the
sure.
ground. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yeah, quickly has definitely found his confidence shooting. I think he's one of the big reasons why we're in a lot of these games. The starters.
Oh, he
It's
definitely brought us back last game. Those two
the
threes in a row. I think no one hit a three until he hit those two.
Yeah, yeah. So, and the start is coming out lackluster out of the third quarter. I'm not understanding what's going on at halftime. I don't know. I don't, this coaching staff is too good for us to come out as flat as we are during halftime. And I feel like the bench unit quickly, Burks, Burks had fourth quarter Burks has
Classic
reemerged.
Burks game.
Yeah, man.
Love to
And
see it.
it's good to see our wings come off the bench and give us that spark plug. I'm gonna toss this question to you. What do you think is the biggest issue coming out at halftime? Why we're so lackluster? It's confusing.
Um, to be honest with you, I don't have a great answer for that,
Yeah,
but the best guess that I can put together, like using reasonable logic, is this new backcourt we have is a defensive liability. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I've defended Kemba and stuff like staunchly on Twitter, but that is definitely a problem. And I think when teams play a full half against those two and they come back out and realize that they can basically get buckets on them whenever they want, that's when they really start attacking them. And that's when they really start to figure out, oh, okay, if they can't stop us, then we're going to keep running the same shit at you again and again and again. You see that game after game. But I think that's also something that like fans are overreacting to because Tibbs was coach of the year. He's a defensive guru. Like,
yeah.
think about it. I mean, right now the Knicks are what, like 6-8 or 8-6. I mean, six in the East, number two in the division,
And it's still
and
early, right? So
it's early. And like, if there's one area of this team that I think Tibbs can improve on, it's defense, especially when if Mitch and Noel ever get healthy.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's another conversation.
Yeah, we'll talk
Mitch,
about it.
Mitch. He left the game. I remember I texted you immediately, like, "What is
Mhm.
going on, man? Like, I'm losing
Yeah,
my mind." Like,
trust me.
and I said it last pod, man. Can I get a healthy center that's not 35 years old? And Taj Gibson is doing amazing, but you could
You
see
saw he was wearing down last
exactly,
game. He
exactly
can't
one
play that many minutes.
exactly. Once he started hitting that 20 point, like 20-minute mark, he starts to decrease in his production.
Mhm.
And
He's
I
still in
don't
the right spots a lot, but I think one silver lining out of that is that we've seen a lot more Obi Randall
yes,
lineups,
yes,
which
yes.
fans have loved to see and have been clamoring to see. Like I said last pod, I don't know if you can do that for long stretches, especially against teams like Philadelphia that are bigger teams, and like Randall can't sit down there and bang with fucking big guys all night and then be expected to carry the load on offense too, which is asking too much of one guy.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think that the development you've seen from Obi, I think he leads the team in player efficiency rating. Like there were Knicks fans literally saying start Obi over Randall on Twitter this week. And like I love Obi. I really do. But he's playing like 12 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game. Like I get it, it's good. It's mostly against backups. It's just like pump the brakes, be excited for the kid, be happy, showing growth. But it's not replace him with the first all-star to sign here since Carmelo Anthony.
And I think you said it correctly. Obi's development has really showed. There's times where he's keeping us in his game, his energy, him being able to run the floor during the fast break. It's great to see. But one thing that stood out to me during the Hornets game, the bench brought us back in that game. I believe midway fourth quarter, Obi. Remember that dunk they had back and forth, and that brought us back in the game. And
an excitement level, man.
Yeah, and then Tibbs. I don't know if you blame Tibbs for this or I don't know, because Randall's our guy. We're gonna die and we're gonna live and die by Randall, and he subs in Randall for Obi, and you see the energy just drop. Like Randall straight didn't have it during that Hornets game, and people are gonna. I know I was talking to one of my Knicks friends, and he was saying, man, it's like it is what it is with the Obi situation. Obi, he's gonna have a minimized role just because in the league, I don't think he could play the 5 full time yet. That's not a thing that Tibbs wants to explore.
No, you saw Brogdon. I texted you about that take Brogdon had on.
Yeah.
The other day.
And shout out to Brogdon. I looked up his numbers this year. Like he's putting up monster
numbers. He's a great player, and he's very physical. And you saw that in the strength, being able to outpower Obi when he had the position on him going to the rim.
Yeah. Speaking of Brogdon, he's really developed his playmaking. He's averaging like 6-7 assists per game. He's a monster, bro.
He's developed into way better of a player than I ever thought he would be.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Obi. The most we could ask for as Knicks fans in this present moment is just, he keeps on adding energy. He keeps on adding 3-point shooting and value off the bench, right? Yeah, for sure.
Especially with all these big injuries, like Noel and Mitch.
Definitely.
You need bodies. I don't trust what's his name? Jericho Sims or whatever to come in and just like
I think Tibbs is not. I think Tibbs seen enough from him in training camp. I don't think he'll play him.
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather see that than see him pulled up.
For sure. Another big storyline is the bench unit playing way better than the starters. I asked you, I wonder how practice looks like. I mean, practice is a
fair question.
Yeah. And I mean, the bench unit has came in. I think we'd be subpar 500 in my opinion if the bench has not played the way they have played. I
mean,
lights out. I mean, Derrick Rose, shout out to Derrick Rose. He looks like he's putting together another six man of the year campaign. And every time he shoots that 3 ball, it feels like it's going in.
He has so much confidence.
Oh, it's
so much confidence. I love it. Some of them I'm like, damn, you put that up that early in the shot clock.
Yeah.
And but I'm like, you know what? You looked so confident in doing it that I'm okay with it. Like it's like before, it's like when Obi or Randall used to shoot threes or even Rose, I would just kind of cringe and just like hope for the best. And now it's like I expect it to go in, and that's such an improvement.
No. He's become a real threat from out there, really opening up things for our bench unit. It's been great. Shout out to Taj again for the energy off the bench. He's another reason why we're so good right now. Another thing that has intrigued the Knicks community is the Kemba hate. I know you've been big on this. You've been a real Kemba advocate, which I've supported that as well. And Kemba defensively has been let's keep it real, has been awful.
Yes, I'm not afraid to admit that. Yes. He's been awful.
And there's been times he doesn't play the whole fourth quarter. There's been times it's very evident like teams are just going to straight attack him on defense. We told guys last pod that we don't see Kemba really being that guy that we expect him to be on the perimeter and just passable on defense to like post All-Star break. Like, come on, that you really expect him to to be Charlotte Kemba right now, like no, I think we'll get those spurts in the
Yeah, you
second
get
half.
games. You get
Yeah,
those games where he goes off, and like some games where he'll win you games on his offense alone. But like, I mean, the Kemba hate has just been so ridiculous. Like people saying they'd rather have Elf back. Like Elf wasn't even like Elf was the most overrated defender. And people want to say Kemba takes stupid shots. Do you remember at the end of the season where Elf like pretty much knew his time here was done? He was playing 5 minutes to start each half in the playoffs, and he just had tunnel vision and would throw up whatever the fuck shot he could at the
he
rim
would just
just
bully
to
his
try to
way to the
pad his
rim.
stats, and it would
Yeah,
go fucking nowhere.
yeah.
And like people in 12 games are ready to call the Kemba Walker experiment like a failure of epic proportions, and want the Suns third string point guard to
Yeah,
come
he's not
back.
playing. He's not playing.
Exactly. And there's a reason for that.
No, you're 100% right. And I think as Knicks fans, we have a tendency to burn everything to the ground after losses. I mean, Twitter is a war zone in our
Oh,
community
trust
after
me.
losses. Yeah.
Trust me.
Eh,
I mean, like as I'm incredibly spoiled on one hand with the Steelers and the Penguins, and the Pirates just are a joke. But even the 3 seasons that the Pirates made the playoffs in my lifetime, like, yeah, I was like a little bit critical of them. I was like, you know what, this is like our 3 year window to actually do something. This is the time Nutting, the owner, has to actually like fork up some money and spend. And he did. He made like fringe moves on like older players like David Freeze. And that bugged me. But like I was still so ecstatic that my team was in the fucking playoffs again that like nothing else mattered. So like to see Knicks fans who they've been better than the Pirates in our lifetimes.
barely, barely, barely.
I mean, they were in a championship in what, 99?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the Pirates hadn't had a winning season until I was 20. And I'm 29,
Yeah, that's
so
pretty bad.
I mean, I'm just saying they made the playoffs 3 years out of 29. It's bad.
Yeah, that's a bad
Um,
ratio.
but you also see it, that same type of hate you see in Knicks fans, you see it in Steeler Nation all the time. You see, oh, Ben's washed up. Ben should be gone. It's all the offensive coordinator's fault. Tomlin should be gone. Why is he still the head coach? No one knows what they're doing. We should start Mason Rudolph over Ben. Like, how did that work out last week against the winless Detroit Lions?
Yeah.
We don't even throw fucking Haskins out there and like see what we got in the kid. We just throw out mediocre Mason, who's been the same exact player since the day we drafted him. Not to go off on not to go off on a
No, he's
fucking
going
Steelers
on.
tangent, but
Nah,
basically what
I
I want to
feel
say
you.
about that is like people that say they want Elf back, like what the fuck are you smoking? And can you please pass me that shit? Because it has to be some of the loudest fucking shit out there. Because it's crazy. It's nonsense.
No, I 100% agree. I think I mean, the point guard situation, it is what it is. And, I believe it's only going to get better as the year progresses. Like,
For
I don't,
sure.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. And,
And
we play Orlando, and I think our defense will see because Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, and Jalen Suggs, they're gonna put pressure on us. So
And then we got Houston next game. It's about winnable game. There's no reason we can't be 10-6 heading into a rematch against Chicago on Sunday.
yes, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So the Knicks should be using these games to gear up against a hot Chicago team. We talked about them last pod, and
Yeah.
it seems like they just got better. They just whipped the Lakers 2 nights
The
ago.
Lakers got the issues of their own.
Yeah.
But just to quickly address what you said earlier about the bench being better than the starters, I do agree with that because I mean the plus minus like everything shows that, but I think you have to be cognizant of the fact that they're playing bench players more often as well,
True.
and like especially for players like Obi who are still adapting to like the physicality of the league, like we said about that Brogdon play, like that's not going to get any better when he's playing against starters. Like, does Mitch need to add more dribbling in post moves to the paint to reach a ceiling? Yeah. Does RJ need to add more dribbling and like get to the line more? Yeah. Is Fournier a streaky shooter? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But shooting career lows, like I said earlier, I think he's going to bounce back. He's not a great defender, neither is Kemba. But like I said, Tibbs is going to just put some respect on his name. You just want coach of the year. And Randall just adjusting to a whole new role. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, for sure. I think Knicks fans forget how long the season is. I remember last year, we straked we won like 7, 8 games in a row, and then we look like we're fourth in the East, third in the
yeah,
East. Yeah, it's a long season. So just relax, guys. Relax.
not to mention we were a three-way tiebreaker away from being the sixth seed last year. So, like, we're almost exactly where we were to end the year last year.
Exactly. Let's switch up some topics, and I think let's talk about our rivals, the Hawks. The Hawks. It feels like we're having a up and down season, but the Hawks are just playing terrible basketball. Trey Young.
Love to see it.
I love to see. Trey Young. He's putting up his numbers, but
That's cute.
taking a look in the Hawks community, they're complaining about Capella. It seems like Capella is the scapegoat. Capella doesn't seem like to be playing the same defense he was playing in the playoffs. Bogey, Cam, and Herder have taken a step down defensively. It seems
Mhm.
like Nick McMillan is having a hard time recapitalizing on that momentum from last year into this season. I think me and you, we both have some type of respect, for their team,
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
on what they could do. But what is your thoughts on their slow start? And do you feel like this is going to be a consistent thing, or eventually it will even itself out, and we're going to be battling with them, for a top 3, top 4, top 5 seed?
I mean, right now the Hawks they're in 11th place in the East, 6-9, which is not exactly what you would expect from a team who made to the Eastern Conference Finals and only made marginal moves around the edges. Like, you expect more continuity from a team like that, just like you kind of expected continuity from our bench unit. That's why you see teams like, I think, the Lakers like struggling to kind of adjust to their new roles. Like, just when you add in a bunch of players, it's gonna lead to less continuity, and they haven't really made any changes. So that's what makes it so surprising. It just, like you said, the Capella that has shown up this year is the Capella that I clowned them for signing to that contract or
Yeah,
trading for that contract.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I haven't seen a ton from John Collins this year, but I have admittedly haven't watched a lot of the Hawks games this year because I do enjoy seeing Trey struggling with getting frustrated with not getting foul calls, like we talked about last week with Harden, but he still gets some. Well, he's always gonna. But I mean, I don't know. I'm expecting them to turn it around, and I think one thing worth noting is, at least in my experience on Twitter, Hawks fans aren't having like a full blown meltdown.
Yeah.
Like,
No, they're not. Yeah, they're not.
they understand it's a long season, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that they're gonna figure things out, just like they got hot last year. Like, this, you remember how bad they started off last year? They fired their coach.
Yeah, yeah. No. I joined some of their like Twitter spaces. I follow
I
Nick.
follow a lot of their stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So I hop in their spaces just to see what the community of other teams are talking about. That
what they
it's
think
very
about their own squad. It's like
exactly,
insightful.
exactly. And one thing that half I feel like it's probably 70-25. It's 75-25 on how some of these guys they want to fire Nate McMillan. Like they want to run him out of town. Like they
Already?
already. I've heard arguments. I've heard
It's like, did you see what this dude did to your squad last year?
exactly. And I
Is
think
it hit? Is now it's him holding Trey back? Like, how many coaches are you gonna blame?
yeah, for sure. And I think Lou Williams, he's just been I think he's
He's
done.
old.
Yeah. He's even said he's going to retire after this year. He's looking at
He
post
said he was gonna
retirement.
retire whenever he got traded to Atlanta in the first place. The
Yeah.
only reason he stayed is because it's his hometown.
And it's his contract. He's still, he's not gonna pass up that paper,
Of course
right?
not. Who would? Especially
Yeah.
a guy like Lou Williams. You think he's like a financial guru? Like, no offense to the guy, but I don't think he's like the most wise investor with his money. I'm sure
Yeah.
he could probably use all the millions he could use.
100% agree with that sentiment. And I think Atlanta fans, I don't know what's wrong with them and their love for Cam Reddish. I love Cam Reddish.
I
He,
like him
yeah, I know. I love Cam Reddish.
as an NBA player. I like him.
I love Cam Reddish. I can't lie on that sentiment, but the Hawks fans, they have huge expectations for this kid, almost like a Michael Porter Jr. type of jump. And
Because they think that he's in the same way he was recruited out of high school, right there with RJ, Zion, and Barrett.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what they think. And they're never going to get that out of their head until he's probably on another team.
and you got to,
Because Herder's taking his role right now.
yes,
DeAndre Hunter's taking his role right now.
that's another guy. That's another
Who
guy.
who do you take out to play this kid? And that's why there was chatter of the Knicks trading for him at the deadline. Because
Yeah.
it's not that he's a bad player, it's just the Hawks have two better players in front of him, at least at this stage in their careers. And that's not saying that he won't develop, because I think he can. He has all the physical tools and gifts in the world, but he hasn't even had the opportunity to show it yet.
And you got to remember, when the Hawks last year, they went on that insane run and they end up tying us for that 4th seed. Cam Reddish was not healthy at all during that run, and he came back during the Bucks series. So and Nate McMillan is trying to juggle all these wings and all their minutes, and
It's too much.
It's too much. And then they signed
Too many
John.
guys.
And then they signed John Collins. I've watched a few Atlanta games, and John Collins, it's like he's not worth that. He's not worth that money.
Exactly.
I'm
That's all I
sorry.
ever said.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not a fan of John Collins or I have anything against John Collins. He wanted a max contract and he didn't get a max contract, but he got damn close. I think he's making more than Randall.
I think, is he? No way.
It's pretty
no
close.
way.
I don't know.
And I hope not. I hope not, because bro,
Randall will deserve it, but yeah.
But and John Collins, I think they were expecting him to take another leap. I think they saw what he did in the playoffs and thought, he could replicate that in the future, and it just hasn't.
Yeah. Again, still early.
Yeah, definitely. Still early for that team, and I think they would bounce back. And probably, I don't think they're a playing team. I think they'll end up shaping up.
I think so too.
For sure.
But for reference, I believe Julius Randle's deal is 4 years, 117 million, where Collins is 5 years, 125 million. So more years, but year to year average, it's about as close as you can get.
Yeah. I mean, for value wise, that's a bad contract. That's a bad contract. And I was debating before the season even started. Actually, I was in there in the Hawk spaces. I heard some bullshit talking about like they could package like John Collins and Cam Reddish and maybe a few maybe a 1st round pick and to get Karl Anthony Towns. I'm like, what? Like
It would make no sense for that roster.
it doesn't. It's not even that. It's just.
And so those guys aren't worth Cat.
Exactly. And then that was my argument. And then they came back.
Your team will get better with Cat, meaning your draft picks will mean less. It's just
it's I don't know.
I mean, every fan had people
overhypes their players.
People wanted a 1st rounder for Billy Hernangomez, and we're upset we only got 2 2nd rounders for him. I mean, every fan base has those people, but shout out to them too, because they ride with us.
For sure. I'm pretty sure we'll keep tabs on the Hawks situation, and we'll see how they adjust. Another team we got to talk about is the flaming hot Washington Wizards, man. The Wizards are 10-4. I mean, who would have thought, right? I mean, the trade with Westbrook, bringing back some of those LA guys. I mean, they brought Kuzma, has been playing well defensively.
Holiday, they got in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Dinwiddie, they brought in because of the cap space. That's a pretty good haul for Westbrook at this point in his career. And it feels like one of the most underrated, under-talked about moves this offseason.
Definitely.
And like I said, and the guy tweeted before this, I honestly legitimately have thought for months now that they are going to have a better record than the Bulls. And I might be dead wrong on that. but as of right now, I'm up on that, and
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay.
fuck it, and I'm gonna hold on to that for as long as I can because I know it's probably not gonna last. But I'm beyond impressed with what the Wizards have been able to do to start the season. Again, small sample size, but they're a team that really fits well together. They're better than like the sum total of their parts. Like, when you have so many options, like a Kuzma, like a Dinwiddie, like a Holiday, like you got two starters and three rotation players and cap flexibility for one guy and Russell Westbrook. Like, you can't tell me it's not a good move. It's kind of similar to what the Knicks did in acquiring all these
KP.
immovable contracts, even, and similar to the KP one, yeah. But I mean, it's just like, what else were you gonna do? Like, if Westbrook wanted out, if he didn't want out, I think he still made the best move because as much as I love Westbrook and Beal, I don't think that roster had enough juice to get you nowhere.
No, no, I 100% agree. And those guys from the Lakers, you remember they won a championship in the bubble.
Yeah,
Kuzma, KCP,
that's valuable
defensively,
experience,
exactly. Defensively, they understand what it takes. The
especially Caruso.
Montrezl Harrell, he looks like he's shaping back into form, looking like the six
Yeah,
ten version.
I
I
can't
think
remember which lineup he was in, but he was in, it was like a really small lineup where he was at the center and they were just like running up and down the floor. And I just saw him like cramming at the rim like he used to. And I was like, okay, maybe this dude's back this year. Maybe he just needed a change of scenery.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think he needed to get out of Los Angeles, and the Spencer Dinwiddie thing. Spencer has been killing it offensively. Still smooth, still got the scary Terry package.
I think he's better than Scary Terry. We'll
Yeah,
talk
no,
about him in a bit.
but I think Spencer Dinwiddie, that contract it looks like he's worth the money. He
Easy.
looks
As long
like
as
he
he can
could.
stay healthy, knock on wood. No one
Exactly. I
wishes.
think he looks like the perfect fit alongside Bradley Bill. He could
Mhm.
shoot the ball, he could pass it, he could be the lead ball handler, he could
They
play
can,
off the
yeah, they
ball.
can both. They can both handle the ball and they can both play off the ball, and that's perfect.
And Bill hasn't really exploded like we expect him offensively. He's only averaging 23 points, I believe.
Because he's not, he doesn't need to do as much as he did last year. That's a big part of it. And that's why you see his defensive effort be able to increase. And that's why you see like so much improvement on this team, is because that it's not asking the only few players with talent to go out and do everything and then the rest of the guys to come in and just not fuck up games. Like, that's putting a lot of pressure on your bench. And they weren't a deep team last year. And I think that trade made them really a deep team. And I think that they'll not only be a bubble team, I think they'll be a playoff team.
No, no, no. I agree. I think they're definitely in bubble contention.
Mhm.
The depth they have, they still have Gatford,
I mean,
defensively.
if right now on the rate they're on, they're first in the East. Like, if you don't fuck this up, you can have home court advantage in a playoff series. I know it's early, but you're setting yourself up in that position right now.
I like what they have going on, but I don't see them, keeping up this 10-4 pace. I just don't. I don't think. I know they play together, they play well, but I don't see it. I really don't.
No,
Especially
I'm
with the
not used.
competition in the East. Then we
Mm,
have the Bulls. We still have the Hawks, but we believe, they're gonna find a way to fight themselves way up
oh, the
there.
East is the top half of the East, like 6 and 1 through 6 is so tough to judge right now. I mean,
Exactly.
Brooklyn's weird because you don't know what they are. Philly's weird because you don't know the Simmons situation.
We just finished
Milwaukee,
battling the Pacers, so we know what the Pacers
Pacers.
got. Yeah,
Yeah, I told you they're going to be a better team playing better defense under the best coach they've had since probably Nate McMillan, and he's probably a better coach than Nate McMillan, honestly.
probably.
Um, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think they're headed in the right direction. I really like what they did this offseason.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I guess yeah. Let's switch things up and let's go out west. Two teams that have been struggling. The Pelicans. Let's talk about the Pelicans. Willie Green.
Done.
Willie Green. You think he's done?
No, not really. Just the Pelicans
Oh,
season. It's
right, yeah,
done.
yeah, it's done. It's done. And Zion hasn't even stepped foot on the court yet. It seems like he's gonna be out till probably
They said that he's
also.
cleared for contact practices, but like at this point, they have the second worst record in the league. And in the Western Conference, they're 7.5 games out of 6th seed and 4.5 games out of the 10th seed. So you're 14th in the West. That's a lot to make up with or without Zion. And like, that's a lot of good teams that you have to pass in order to move up those spots.
Exactly.
You were higher on the Deontay Graham move than I was. I still liked it, but that move has not worked out as of yet. It isn't working out with their system. Sure, Ingram's missed some games but I think the real question for Pelicans fans is how long are you gonna let fucking what's his name?
David
Griffin call the shots for that franchise? Like that seat has to be hot, right? Like does Zion even want him there? Does Zion even want to be there if he's gonna be there?
Yeah. Now I was gonna ask you, where do they even go from here? And I think me and you both agree this season is a wash from them.
It's another
Ingram,
lottery season.
exactly. Ingram, he's out there by himself, playing defense by himself, trying to facilitate by himself. That roster is just built. We complained all off season. I think listeners know how we feel about that roster, and they just keep making retarded moves. And like, how long? Like, is Zion going to be the first person to not sign his rookie extension?
It's trending that way.
It's trending that way, and
if not, I could see a situation where he demands like a sign and trade at bare minimum. Like, I'm not going to sign this with you. If you want something in return, you send me to the team that I want to go to, which I'm not going to say any names of other teams in New York to have his best friend from college on there. But those are things
Leon
that could
Rose,
happen.
get on the phone, man.
I mean, don't tamper, but talk to your son, have him call some people up, see what's going on.
For sure.
But what are your thoughts on the Pelicans and the rest of their season?
Honestly, when I look at it, I think they're gonna try to move Ingram before the Zion thing even starts
But if you're a Pelicans fan, do you want Griffin making a Brandon Ingram trade?
Oh, but do you have a choice though? That's the thing, though. Do you have a choice?
Yes, you can fire Blake or Brian Griffin.
Are they though? They had Dell Demps there for like 15 years, making all the dumb moves.
But you have fucking Zion Williamson, and if he's not happy, you got to do you cannot, after losing Anthony Davis, you cannot leave any stone unturned in keeping Zion potentially the next face of the league for the next decade plus. Like you got to try everything you can.
But I think they try something major before they do anything. I think David Griffin is going to try to save his job either or, and I don't know. I've been hearing Ben Simmons Ingram swaps. I don't know if I think it makes the Pelicans better on defense, but I don't know.
I don't like that fit for Philly.
Why not? I mean,
Ingram
could guard the two. I mean,
I wouldn't want Ingram as my two, especially then. That means what, like Maxey or Curry sits?
Probably Curry sits, right? If you're having that dynamic.
Yeah, but and then you have Ingram, who's their three? Thibault, Tobias, and Embiid. Like that's a big ass lineup. And smaller teams, or like if the Knicks go small with Randall at the center, are going to be able to run up and down the court on those guys. And I don't think like talent wise that trade doesn't make sense. I just think fit wise for what the Sixers need, it just isn't there. Maybe they do it because it's the best trade they can get available, and they think they can flip Ingram or package Ingram in a three-way trade and get them some guy who becomes available. But I don't like that fit for Philadelphia.
No,
I actually like Philadelphia as currently constructed, and I think with or without Ben Simmons, they're going to be a top 4 seed in the East.
No, for sure. And I think the Pelicans and they're probably gonna move. They had the whole situation where tickets. I was looking up their ticket sales, man. I think cheapest ticket to get in the door is like $10 after fees and taxes. I mean, they're.
My brother sent me pictures because he went down to New Orleans and checked out a game. I'll have to find them on my phone, bro.
This year?
No, this was like 2 years ago. No. Like it was the year AD got traded and he was sitting, and the stadium was just like it looked like a practice. It was insane.
No. It's poverty over there, man. It's pretty bad over there, and
For all the luck they've gotten in the draft and shit, to still, there's no excuses. Look what Atlanta built around Trey. Look what like Giannis and Milwaukee were able to do. That it's not just on one player, you know.
and the Lonzo Ball stuff, it's the most weirdest thing. How you let a talent? It looks like he's an all-star talent right now, and how do
Yeah,
you
I
just let
think
that
any
go?
team in the league would trade for that contract right now.
Right, and I don't understand. Like, what's the thought process?
Not to
Zion.
mention Ingram and Zion, like you were just about to say, both wanted him.
Exactly. So I'm confused of what's going on over there.
It's because the owner owns the Saints, who are over the cap, and they don't want to spend over the cap or spend any money on this basketball team.
Then
Saints are the
sell it. Then
priority.
sell it. Then sell it. Because
You
pure
know, owners
basketball
aren't like
fans like
that.
me and pure basketball fans, me and you, like it's disrespectful, man. Not even
Trust
to the
me,
fan
as
base.
trust me, as a Pirates fan, like I say this to myself every year: sell the fucking team. But you gotta understand that to them, they just see these things as ATMs, man. They can the way that NBA specifically divides revenue, like it's all about TV contracts. Attendance don't mean shit,
Exactly.
especially for a team like New Orleans. Like their attendance was never good, and even if it was, it wouldn't like move the needle on what they were willing to spend.
And it's crazy. I was listening to a pod. I forgot what it was, and it was saying, if you have money, the best ownership group to get into is the NBA.
Yeah,
That is
it's
a
the
ATM.
it is going to surpass football in the next 10 to 12 years.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that sentiment.
Just
Definitely agree.
all the CTE, all the head injuries, all the worried parents. It's just the NBA is such a player's first safety precautionary league. Like the way they handled COVID was actually like outstanding. How well they handled the bubble situation, that bubble season. And it's just an international game. Not only like do you have like European leagues, but then you have guys that are like, oh, my favorite player from my European team plays for the Mavericks now, Luka Doncic. I'm going to start following them. China loves the NBA, and they need to stay up for all those late night games because the fucking time difference. Like
Yeah,
China
man.
is actually, I think China and the NBA might be on beef right now.
But before, when they had the whole
Before
Yao
that,
Ming era,
yeah,
and
that's what started the whole explosion. But even Jeremy Lin Sampson, man,
oh man, Lynn Sandy was such a magical time in my life,
that's a
for sure.
ride,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah,
It just felt special,
for
and
sure.
yeah, that's some nostalgia.
For sure, for sure. Let's switch it up. Another team that's been struggling. I mean, no surprise. The Houston Rockets coming off, their second rebuilding year off of the Harden trade. No surprise that the backcourt of Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. is not defending anybody. Shout out to Christian Wood, one of my favorite NBA players.
Love them.
But he's in an island by himself, and his numbers are pretty much empty stats at this point. Shout out to him. They have some good pieces. Jay Sean Tate. We
Jalen
spoke about,
Green.
yeah, and we spoke about Sengun last pod, how he's having, a pretty good rookie campaign. But what is your thoughts? They're playing some awful basketball out there. I think their coach Steven Stylus is pretty much, I think he gets the boot pretty soon here. I don't think they let him see like the progression of the squad. What are your thoughts on Houston and I guess their season?
Again, that's another team I think is done. They have it's just the conference they're in. It's too good of a conference, and it's too far back too early. Like there's not enough there's not you're not better than enough teams to pass enough teams to get into contention. I like a lot of their moves, and like I like a lot of their young guys. Like I told you, I am a big Sengun fan. I like Kevin Porter Jr. for all his flaws. Like I mean, I like Jalen Green. Obviously, House is good. Kenyon Martin. They still have fucking what's his name, Eric Gordon, right? They still have him.
Aaron Gordon's still in the league. Damn,
I think he's still on the Rockets.
damn. I haven't seen him play. I don't think he plays, bro. He's probably
He
waiting
might
for a
not. I might
trade.
be. Maybe he might be. I might be even looking at an old roster. I just googled something real quick. But the point is that it's just it's a young team and it's gonna be a process. I don't think they got as much as they should have out of the Harden trade, but I think given the circumstances, they also really didn't have much of a choice. So I mean, I was impressed with the draft. I think anybody that was expecting them to contend for a play-in spot was definitely drinking some strong Kool-Aid. But I mean, they're on a good start and they're on a good track. And as a fan, like during those later years of Melo, where you just knew his team wasn't going anywhere, and we were pulling in guys like what was his name, Aaron Aflalo, as like big name acquisitions, going after like Greg Monroe and swinging and missing on him. It's like I'd much rather just see what they did and like get rid of Melo and like rebuild, restart. Like I appreciate Melo. I love Melo, and I was sad to see him go. But at the same time, like he didn't fit the timeline of that team because we gutted the roster to get him, and then we gutted the roster more to try to bring in Gallinari and fucking people. Like it didn't work out. It's unfortunate, but somehow we ended up with Mitchell Robinson out of it. And
It's been a treat. And I think, one story surrounding this team is the John Wall thing. They had informed John Wall like right after we finished recording the last pod. They pretty much told him like you're not playing this year at all.
I
Pretty
didn't
much.
hear that.
Oh, it didn't? Yeah, they pretty much told him. It was a big story. Shams wrote it. Woj had wrote about it. They
Oh
pretty much
damn.
told him like you're not suiting up at all. Pretty much forget about the season. I don't think he'll have any trade suitors for him. So he's pretty much
Buyout maybe.
that's a lot of bread. That's a lot of money. I
So
looked
was
up
Kemba.
3 years, 40, 45 million each,
What
around
was
40.
Kemba? What was Kemba's deal? His was like 3 years, 80 million total or something. 4 years, 80 million.
I think if there was a buyout option, they would have spoke about it already. I think Tim
I
put
mean, you didn't hear it about Kemba immediately either, though. I mean, you heard rumors pretty quickly, like he's not gonna be there, but it was that they were looking for a trade. And then once they found out that no one was trading for that contract, then they were like, all right, we'd rather develop our young guys than have you rot on the bench.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I don't know, man. It's just sad, I think John Wall's
It's
prime
sad,
is
but
just
like John Wall's like in a way, like the organization almost owes that to John Wall. Like you're gonna owe him the money regardless whether you keep him on the roster or not. If you're not gonna play him, you deserve to let him go out there and have the opportunity to play ball. Like don't just hold him captive if you're the ones that don't want to play him. I could see if it's like a Ben Simmons situation and he's demanding out, but to be the guy that's like, you traded Russell Westbrook for me and you don't want to play me and you don't think I have it anymore. I'm not even supposed to dress making all this money. Like, dope. I'm cool sitting on the bench collecting checks. But at the same time, if I'm John Wall, I think I still have something to prove. And I think he has enough money that he would take a discount on a buyout and hope to sign with a team that could use him, kind of similar to Kemba.
so I'm looking at his contract right now. So he has 2 more years left. So not as bad as I thought it was. So he has 2 years.
How much per year?
Next year he's owed $44 million, and the following year he's owed 47. So it's about,
So
you
wait,
know,
is that including this year as one of those years?
no, I'm talking about the next 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That
he's
was,
owed,
but the
almost
thing
$100
about,
million in 2 years. So it's a lot of money.
but
How much does he
you,
give back? I mean, if it's 100 million, how much do you give back?
I don't know how much would Kemba give back. All but 8 million a year.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, yeah. I mean, sure, he took a hometown discount, but you don't think John? Can you imagine John Wall going to a team like I don't even know where he'd be a good fit at right now. I'd like him.
Exactly. I don't know what stage is he at in his career. I haven't seen a lot of him to be like, okay, if you throw him, say like for example, you throw him next year in the Clippers situation, right? They get back Kawhi, they have Paul George coming off an MVP season, they got
Definitely.
Bledsoe,
Yeah, that's a
you
good
know,
fit.
yeah. Like how much does he have left? If he is he in his Kemba stage of his career? Is he
The
still have
Rose
all-star?
stage, like
Is he is he still all-star form? I don't know what stage he's in his career. And I think that's one of the challenges if you're
do you
trading
think
for him,
do you think I know Boston doesn't have a ton of assets anymore,
Boston.
but if Boston were able to swing a deal for him, do you think him and Schroeder would be kind of like a front court good enough to elevate the Celtics?
It's definitely gonna make me watch. I'm definitely gonna watch to see
Yeah,
how that hand.
but you pretty much have to include Horford just to make the money match on that.
And I don't think they do that. Horford has just been spectacular for them. I think he's one of the few bright spots for them this season. He
Yeah.
looks like he's never left. I mean,
Yes, he
it
knows
looks
that
great.
team. He knows that system. Like,
The Taj effect. He's almost like a better version of Taj. He's able to
yeah,
move his feet. Like he's yeah, yeah.
yeah. The fit in Philadelphia never made sense to me.
Never did. I had guys really arguing that it was gonna fit just because he was able to shoot the three really
There was
effectively.
there was that, and there was like, oh, and it'll give them the ability to rest Embiid and keep him healthy. And like, how did that work out in the playoffs? Was
Yeah,
Embiid healthy?
exactly. Exactly.
So
We'll definitely see how that works out. Shout out to the Rockets continuing to rebuild. If you're a Rockets fan,
shout
you
out
gotta
to
hold
you.
tight. You gotta hold tight. And yeah, and you had Harden for damn near a decade going crazy. So I mean, it is what it is, right? And
Chris
we won't
Paul, you had Melo, you had Dwight Howard,
exactly.
you had what's his name? Sam. No, not Sam Presti. Who was is he at the Sixers now?
Daryl Moore.
Daryl Morey
Daryl
making
Moore.
fucking every possible move a fan would want your team to make for like damn near like 5-6 years there. Like
Exactly.
it's time for a rebuild, and they're doing it the right way, I think.
Definitely, definitely. We'll definitely see it. And speaking of the trade they had with the Nets, Harden last night, he was struggling. I had texted you. It was a little bit of an overreaction. Sometimes you bring me back to earth in the DMs. Calm down. It's just, calm down, Hamza. You'll be all right. But man, Harden looked terrible. I
He
mean, he
does.
put up 24 points, but physically, I've been watching Nets games recently, man,
He
and
don't look like he in shape.
at all. I mean, he looks worse than yesterday, last year when he
Yeah.
with Houston. He was out of shape. He looks even worse than that. So hopefully, if they want any chance at the title run, they need Harden back into shape. And Stephen A. Smith, he said this one thing. You better be ready to box up Kyrie because Kyrie, you trusted Kyrie. Kyrie was one of your best friends in the league. You came to Brooklyn. And now look, you're on an island by yourself, basically. I mean, the guys on that roster have like they're very limited on that team. I
Because
think
not only did you bring in Kyrie and KD, but you traded away your depth for Harden. So it's like we don't even have the option to make another move. And in
exactly.
hindsight, yeah, it's great. We have two Hall of Fame players, and maybe that's enough on its own, even without Kyrie to win a championship. Like it really could be. But to have to be Kevin Durant and that that video of Steph Curry getting MVP chance at the foul line
Yeah, yeah,
and
in Barclays. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Barclays, that has to be that that got to KD's petty ass. Like he was fucking sick about that.
And if you're KD, you're looking around in the locker room. You got Blake Griffin, who's about to retire. You got LaMarcus Aldridge, who looked like he was
Should
about
have
to die
retired.
last year.
Yeah. Like it's like ethically questionable whether he should even be playing.
I don't understand what's going on with the Nets, bro. And then Patty Mills, shout out to Patty Mills. He's a good role player,
He's
but he's not taking
good.
you over the edge. He's just
Who's
gonna
that?
be there.
Saxton or whatever the big name, Claxton.
Claxton,
He's
he's not even
he's
a factor.
good,
They
but
assigned him to the G League.
Did they?
Yes, yeah, I
Oh,
followed this G.
he had a pretty good season
I'm
last year,
not.
I thought.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
And then Paul
I saw this
Millsap is
quote
old.
today um about Jason Kidd talking to Kyrie. I can't remember what podcast it was on. I listened to like 10 today. But he was like, yeah, I still talk to Kyrie every day, but we don't talk about basketball.
So what are
And
you
it's
talking
like,
about?
what are you talking about? And like, I get it. Like they said on the podcast, it's like, again, I can't remember which one it was. They were like, you can't just come out and say, like, yeah, I've been begging Kyrie to come back. Like, you know what I mean? You can't sound like do anything to like disrespect him or anything, but like, if all you're trying to do is like keep close ties and hope he changes his mind or like the legislation changes, I, I, I don't know what you do. He's threatening to retire if you trade him. Like
Yo, that's a shitty situation.
it's gonna be a 30 for 30 about how the Knicks dodged that fucking bullet and the Nets signed Kyrie's crazy ass and he went full Kanye and blew that whole shit up.
Crazy, crazy. I cannot wait to tell
Respect
my
to
kid.
Kanye,
I can't wait to
but
tell my kids about this 20 years from now. I can't
uh,
wait, man.
there'll be a doc. I'm telling you, we can show them.
Man,
We'll play them back these pods.
let's switch things back over to the West. Paul George, shout out to Paul George and the Clippers. Paul George putting up another MVP season.
As is
I
Curry.
as is Curry. And
I think
and
they're
I
the two favorites.
and I said it last season on the pod. I think Paul George is better as a first option. The best
I agree.
version that you'll get to see is him taking majority of the shots, having the ball in his hands, and the ball doesn't really stick in his hands. So I think that's the real appeal of Paul George.
Mhm.
Him being a lights out shooter, and I think the surrounding pieces, Reggie. Shout out to Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson has been, pulling his weight over there.
Yeah, someone used to be talking shit on my boy Reggie Jackson. Now he's putting some respect on his name.
All right. I said, if he helps the Clippers, I'm gonna give it to him. I need to see
Yeah, that's all I
consistency.
want. That's all I
Yeah,
want.
all right. They got that going on. Eric Bledsoe defensively has been there for them.
Yeah,
Clippers. Offensively, he's always gonna be up and down
he's
with the
never
jump
been a
shot.
great offensive player.
Yeah, but defensively he's been there.
Mhm.
Zubac, he's gonna be
Nice
there.
piece.
Nice piece. They just got back Ibaka. It seems like Ibaka hasn't played, and
Morris is still there, right?
yeah, and Morris is still putting up, 20 points a night. They're getting, it's a team thing, It's almost what we had. It's almost like the old Clippers team, before the Kawhi and Paul George. You remember when they had that squad of
The
Patrick
Lob City,
Beverly?
basically.
No, after Lob City.
Oh, with like Shea and shit.
Yeah, it's almost that type of energy, that togetherness.
Yeah, but the biggest difference is they have a superstar in Paul George.
Exactly. And they have a guy who could close games. And shout out to Ty Lue. We said it last season on the pod.
Man,
Ty Lue is one of the best coaches.
I've never been more wrong on a coach in my life than I was on Ty Lue. I thought he was just riding LeBron's fucking coattails, and what he's done ever since leaving Cleveland has been nothing short of incredible.
I think he's one of the best tacticians there is. I think there's only a few
In-game
coaches.
adjustments, halftime adjustments, especially series adjustments, it's unreal.
Exactly. I think there's only a handful of coaches in the league today that can outcoach him in a playoff series.
Yeah.
I think he's very incredible. He has those guys playing together. He has the bench unit. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to shout out to all those guys. I think together. I don't know if
team.
Yeah, it's a deep team too, and I don't know if they keep up this success throughout the longevity of the season.
Yeah, there you
The
go either
West
way at
is
this point.
stacked. I don't
Right.
know. Yeah,
And then one injury happens or something, you never know.
exactly. So, the question I have to you is, what's the ceiling on this team? They got Paul George and Steph Curry pretty much leading the MVP conversation. But as far as the Clippers team, what's their ceiling? And do you see Kawhi coming back if they keep this up?
I don't see Kawhi coming back unless it's potentially in the second round of the playoffs. I doubt that. I doubt he comes back at all. But I do think that this team can make it to the semifinals in the Western Conference. I think Paul George is that good of a player, and Ty Lue is that good of a coach, and that team's that deep of a team. You saw that even after Kawhi went down, they were still winning games in the playoffs last year. And I think that if anything, now they're gonna have a whole season of like playing without Kawhi and being more used to it. Like, that was sprung on them. That was a surprise. They weren't preparing plays for that for Paul George to be the first option. So I mean, I don't know. The West is tough. It's really, really tough. But I don't know where you have Paul George on like your list of like top players. He's in my top 10. And I I legitimately think like he's probably one of the best two-way players in the league right now.
No, for sure. Do I have him in my top 10? I would
It's
have to break.
tough.
It's tough. It's tough. He's definitely fighting for a spot in the top 10. I would
Yeah,
say that. I think two-way, I think the way like
definitely if
he's
you go two-way.
definitely. I think there's only a few guys that are really
It's like
better than
him
him
and
in that.
Kawhi, which is crazy.
And maybe in a lesser aspect, Jimmy, because he doesn't have the
Yeah,
jumper like those
yeah.
guys. But yeah, Paul George is on another level, straight
Mhm.
40.9, straight taking over quarters. The handle is still crispy as ever. I think he has he has the scary Terry package. And
And a guy's body three times the size.
yeah. I
It's
mean, he's a
nuts.
tank. And can you
I
remember?
think we good.
Can you remember like almost a year ago, people were talking about like what's wrong with this? He was getting the Ben Simmons
Playoff
treatment.
P.
Yeah, man,
Everybody
he was getting the Ben
scapegoat.
Simmons treatment, man.
They were like, "Oh, Kawhi messed up, asking for Paul George."
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll see. We'll
It's
see.
that's what I mean about the NBA. Crowds are such prisoners in the moment, and they're just so willing to. Oh, look at this headline on ESPN. Like, this is everything and anything, and nothing's gonna change. And then one game later, Kemba goes like 6 for 8 to start a game, and everybody's like, "Oh wow, Kemba's great! I'm so happy he's our point guard." And it's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, where was that energy like 3 days ago?"
yeah. It's definitely a up and down thing. And
What do you think? What do you think is their ceiling though?
I think they're a playing team. They probably fight for a playoff spot. I don't see them
I
getting a
could,
top 6 seed, and I don't see them being a semi-conference title. I don't see that.
yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't.
I
But
I could see them actually having a very similar season to like Golden State did last year,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
making a playing team and like playing a team really close, just losing, maybe winning, losing the first round. I just think their ceiling, it would be the second round. I don't think they can get past that with the current group they have.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Last year's Warriors is pretty much where I
Mm,
see them too. Pretty much.
yeah,
I think Staples Center. It looks like they're gonna change the name to Crypto.com Arena.
because
I don't.
apparently what I didn't know was the Lakers don't own Staples Center.
So it's like a venue thing, or like what's
It's a
going on?
venue thing, and basically they offered them. I think it's like the biggest endorsement name contract in like world history to change the name, and the Lakers aren't going to see a penny of it, which makes me so fucking happy because it's pissing off all their fans, and like rightfully so. But I'm just so happy that they aren't. Everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, the Lakers! If the Lakers would have done this already, they could have kept Alex Caruso." I was like, "That's not how salary caps and like things work. That money just doesn't go into their wallet to use blindly."
But
But
it's crazy. Paul George comments were, there's so much history in Staples Center. The whole Kobe, the whole Shaq, the three-peat. Kobe getting his 2 rings without Shaq, and the
all
Showtime
that.
before they moved from Inglewood. Before they
Mm-hmm.
moved into there. So there's a lot of history, and then the Clippers won't be there anytime. They won't be there like within 2 years. I think
Yeah,
Steve Ballmer is opening up a whole brand new nice arena. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it, but it looks
yeah. No, it
beautiful.
looks wild.
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for
but I
sure.
mean, even the Penguins, they went through something like that recently. They tore down um, the Igloo back in the day. Then they built Consol Energy Center, and then just like 3 years ago, their contract with them ran out, and now we're PPG Paints Arena, which I don't really care, but it's just like really we're named after a fucking paint company.
At least you're
At
not
least,
the
at least
smoothie center. At least you're not the smoothie center or Little Caesars Arena.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I can't complain too much.
Imagine your
Heinz Field's all right. I'm cool with that.
yeah, man. I mean, Wells Fargo Arena. I mean, there's a few weird ones, the Smoothie
Yeah.
King,
I actually like Wells Fargo as a name. It's just like, yeah, we got bank.
uh, Madison Square Garden. That's
Yeah.
pretty. I
Yeah.
don't
And
think
that,
Dolan owns that either. I
I
think it's
think
a
he
bunch of
does.
he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he runs other concert and stuff too. There was talking about, or I think there was talk about him selling off the sporting side and keeping the like music like event side of it, but that never ended up like going through. And I'm pretty sure he owns the building, the cable rights, and
Yeah, he owns
everything
the kid.
about
Yeah, he's
MSG.
filthy. Yeah, he's filthy rich. Wow. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No wonder he doesn't have a problem spending money for us. No wonder.
yeah, but it's just make it smart money.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the topics today.
So before we go, because I'm officially gonna start my tally, what are your predictions for today's game?
Oh, as long as the 3-point defense stands up, we should blow this team out. I mean, last game, I know that left a bad taste in their mouth. I mean, the way we broke down in that fourth quarter. I mean, right there in front of me, they just broke
Ugly.
down right there in front of
Oh
me. It
yeah.
was, I mean, the fans' reaction was just depressing. I mean, everybody was
Oh,
just pissed. They had
how could you
Terrence.
blame them?
Yeah, they had Terrence Ross coming off a pin down. Like it was bad. But hopefully, I think if they, like I said before we started recording, if they're able to stop the penetration of Cole, Snugs, and what's the last guard of and RJ Hampton, I think that opens up a lot of offense for them. So if they're able to contain the guards, I think they should be fine because I'm not really worried about Franz Wagner beating us. I'm not really worried about Wendell Carter beating us, Mo Bamba. It's all in the guards. If they were able to defend the guards, we should be fine. Is Noel Mitch playing? I mean, what's the
I
situation?
honestly didn't even look into it. I meant to before this,
Yeah,
and
I
didn't.
I know Noel's not playing, but we'll
I'm
see
sure.
if Mitch
Yeah, I'm
plays.
sure. I bet they play him pretty precautionary and sit him again too.
But yeah, I mean,
But
we'll
okay,
see.
so you picking the Knicks?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm picking the Knicks. Tiebreaker, just in case, because I mean they're both the Knicks. How much do you think the Knicks win by?
I'm gonna say we beat them by 10 points. 10 points. We run away with it in the
That
fourth
is the
quarter.
Vegas spread. You are on the money.
Really? That's
Yep.
what's up.
I'm going to prices right you and go plus 11. And it'll probably be by 9 and you'll win. But hey,
So I'm trying to find out is Noel is not playing. So Ian Bagley confirmed Noel is not playing.
no word on
Um,
Mitch.
no word on Mitch. Uh, yeah, no word on Mitch. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, make sure. I guess we'll end the pod here. Make sure to check me out on Twitter. Make sure to check out my boy Nolan on Twitter. Make sure to check out the Corner Three Pod. Make sure to check out our websites where we have the podcast and the and some articles there too. We'll be writing
I will
articles
be
throughout
writing
the
a
season
Kemba piece, a very aggressive Kemba piece coming your way soon.
as to address everybody to relax on the Kemba hate. We'll be fine. We will be fine.
My
You know.
article is gonna be anything but relaxed, but yeah, y'all should relax.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, we'll see. Maybe some guests, maybe we'll appear on some stuff. We'll see what goes on. But yeah, man. Thanks, Nola, for coming on.
Oh yeah, buddy. Thanks for seeing you. Talk to you soon.